Hello and welcome back to Let's Play Potatoes. I am Let's Play Potatoes. Today we are going to be reviewing a game of us in Offs versus TTT. This is the first game of the season that we had against them in Clan Wars. I am going to put this whole video under the description of how to use the Holy Trinity. The Holy Trinity being the three no's and yeses, the order of how things should be, which is first, keep your HP, second, get kills, and third, get caps in that order. And that is very, very important. One of the most important things that you're going to see in every game is that if you mess those things up, you are putting yourself in a much bigger likelihood of losing a game, which is basically what happened not just to TT, but to a lot of other clans and players as well. This rush to get caps and forgetting the fact that you need to also protect them, and if you lose your HP and you lose your ships in the pursuit of early kills that are going to be risking yourselves and early caps are going to be risking yourself, you're going to lose, or you will very likely lose the game if the other team knows how to contradict whatever it is you're doing. It's also a very good game to see something of an let's say late game push which is something that happens very, very often in this game right now, simply because of the amount of the tanking that currently occurs between Stalingrads and BBs running into caps and staying in it. It just allows for a quick change of hands of the caps later on in the game, which could also lead to different people and different victories in different ways. So this is a very good game for that. Now I am gonna speed it up a little bit. I end up going in the Stalingrad with the Des Moines, the Yamato, and the DD to see what you guys are going to be seeing is that we sometimes do this. We send different ships in different directions, specifically Zhaos, if we're playing with Zhaos, to different parts in the map in order to find detectability, to find the information, let's call it, which is something that's really, really important to understand. Information is so much power. If you know what's going on anywhere on the map, you're so much more likely to make the right decisions and the right calls regarding what to do with the powers that you have, the ships, the locations, and the likes. So right now, I do send up Thunder to contest the cap, but more than contesting, I send him to detect the other DD. Now, if the other DD decides not to go to C, then basically Thunder is going to go into the cap. But if he does come up to C, then Thunder has a radar, and he's got a fairly low detectability, which means that he's going to be able to detect the other DD, and maybe we'll manage to put some damage into him. Now, the other DD doesn't go into the cap early on, and I do move up to a slightly better position behind this rock here, which will allow me to shoot at the other side hopefully without being detected. This is a slightly risky maneuver, but it allows you to a lot of the times do a little bit of an early damage. C is getting capped, B did get capped, and it is important to notice how fast caps get capped because it does tell you how many people are in it. Whether it's 1, 2, or 3, you can tell more or less. So there's the Grozovoy. TTT, I don't have to say, is a very, very good clan. They got good players. They got, most of the time, good tactics, and they know what they're doing. They're not an easy clan to play against. So this was a very exciting game for us. We hope for TTT as well. Yamato sits unexpectedly on their side. This is something that we haven't seen too many other clans do, sending the BB on the side of C. That's something that normally we've only seen ourselves do early on, but he does end up being on this side, which is fine for us. It doesn't change the plans whatsoever. The Grozovoy goes into the cap, gets radared by the Yu Yang the second time, I believe, or the first time, and then afterwards our Yu Yang gets radared, and that's the play style that you see. Now what you're seeing is the Grozovoys early on are playing this very simple plan of keep the HP. Who's going to be able to contest the cap, stop it, move out, contest the cap, stop it, move out. Now at some point, Thunder does get pretty heavily contested, heavily fired upon by the Zhao, the Yamato, the Grozovoy. I do believe there's another ship there as well. So he does need to move out further out to get out of the radar range in order to keep his HP. The number one priority is keep your HP. If you're dead or low HP, you cannot help us. So it's really, really important to try and keep, especially your DDs, because they're the main force, the main task that eventually is going to keep your your scouting abilities going. That's really important. As you can see, there's a Stalingrad, a Worcester, and a Shimakaze that are sitting on the opposite side in B. They're both sitting in very powerful positions, especially versus a Yu Yang and a Zhao. It's not going to allow them to do too much, but they do end up getting a lucky break at a certain point. It's not too soon, and I do believe that the Worcester is going to end up eating some torps from the Zhao and end up going down, which was going to allow them to do something of some sort of a push towards B. However, the Stalingrad is going to do a little bit of a risky maneuver, which we'll see in a second. Now, what we're trying to do here is something we've done in other videos as well, sort of a swooping maneuver. As you can see, that Des Moines goes to the edge of the map, finds the perfect position that allows him to shoot without being detected, and basically trying to swoop people away from that side, because you don't want to be caught in a crossfire. Now, as you can see, right now we are not going for C. The DD is sitting there. He's trying to detect whatever he can, but he's not risking C. I'm telling him there's a Des Moines there. We don't know where exactly it is. There he is. Don't go and see. I don't want to lose you. I don't want to lose the HP that you have. So what I'm doing is basically with the Stalingrad and the Des Moines creating a pressure point. I'm trying to force them out of a comfortable position, which is exactly where they're sitting at on the corner of the islands there. We're trying to find different positions to create a crossfire on them. I do end up turning seeing the spot in the Grozvoy with the radar. He sits there in the middle. Thunder does a little bit of an early mistake by going a little bit too early into the cap. He spots the Grozvoy because of my radar and decides to abort. I'm sitting with a slight crossfire to the Des Moines. Our friendly Zhao met the Des Moines and decided to retreat a little backwards, but he's about to encounter a very nasty surprise that's going to come his way. I am speeding up the whole process a little bit. Stalingrad at this point moves out from B. Now the thing is, what you're seeing right now is there's a Des Moines sitting in the smoke there. I know he's in the smoke and he's shooting at me. As long as he's shooting at me, smoke is not an invisibility cloak. It doesn't transfer you to another dimension. He's basically showing me his position time and time again. I can assume where he's at. Now he's getting some very lucky shots here. He's getting fired, but so am I. I already got a single citadel on him, and if I'm not mistaken, there's going to be another one that's going to be coming very soon. Notice the cap is important. We're not saying it's not, but we're saying that surviving is so much more important, and that's why the Yu Yang and the Zhao, our friendly Yu Yang and Zhao on B, are taking it very lightly. They're scouring around, they're looking, they're trying to get the kills, they're not focusing on the cap. We are losing. Well, you can see, if I'm going to slow down the game a little bit, we are losing on the caps. We're losing significantly as well. We're losing by more than 200 points. But if your ships die because you're rushing to get the cap, because you're rushing to get the kills, you're not going to win the game. You're only going to put yourself in a worse situation. Now, there's obviously an exception. The exception is that if you're losing the game too harshly and you need to get into the cap, you have to do whatever you can. But as long as there's a significant chance of you dying, it's just not worth it, as long as there's a chance of you winning. Now again, eventually I get 3 citadels stuck into the Des Moines. The Des Moines takes a lot of damage. I do notice that the Yamato can no longer shoot at me, and the Grozvoy was on the opposite side, which makes me basically get a better position, moving slightly further up to a position that will not allow the Zhao to pummel me so far away, and the Yamato, and basically allow me to cover the cap a little bit better. The Stalingrad, there we go, the Worcester on the opposite side ends up taking torpedoes. I believe he was sitting in smoke, which is something that you should never do, and he did end up taking the torps from Andy, I believe, and the Zhao. But on our side, our Zhao did not expect to be rushed by Stalingrad, a Grozvoy, and a Des Moines, and he does end up going down. I screw up this Des Moines a little bit. I don't do enough damage, but I do get up to a position that allows me to do as I please. They can no longer push the cap without getting me out of the way. Now, as you can see, what we did, because Thunder wasn't doing too well in the cap, we told Thunder to move towards the middle, Thunder being our Yu Yang. Go scout the middle. We need to see where that Grizzleboy is. That Grizzleboy is fairly low, but he does have repairs. The Stalingrad, we need to spot him, try and torp whatever you can. He will eventually move towards the middle. The Yamato was the one that was actually sitting in the cap. He was actually the one that was taking a lot of the damage. He was taking the brunt of the damage both from the Yamato, the Zao, the Des Moines, and the Stalingrad at one point or another. But now, because I am in a position that allows me to basically sit right on the edge of the cap and prevent it, I can maneuver myself in and he can maneuver himself out. I don't need to keep the cap. I don't need to sit in it. All I need to do is prevent anybody from coming into it from capping it. Again, we are in a big disadvantage, guys. We're basically 40 points away from losing, 56 seconds away from losing the game. However, the enemy team can see that they're about to lose B. They end up setting their Zao towards B to prevent us from sitting into the cap. So the friendly Zao, the Zao and the Yang on the opposite side, are rushing towards the cap. And again, there's no point in rushing to your death on one side. You have to trust your teammates. You have to trust the way that it's supposed to work. Keep your HP, then kills, then the cap. So we've gotten the cap on our side. We've secured it. All we can do now, instead of rushing forward to our death, risking the entire game, we just have to trust the enemy that our friendly is going to be able to go into B, and he does. Red XI sitting in the Yang on the opposite side with ND MC1 basically goes into the cap, begins the capping of it, and all he needs to do is prevent them from getting it. Now at this point, the Stalingrad on the enemy team, the Grizzleboy, Des Moines, and the Yamato understand something very simple. They need to get me out. I am the biggest likelihood of a death. I show way too much broadside here. It's a problem I have with the Stalingrad. I'm fully aware of it. But I am trying to reverse out of position. The Des Moines pummels me from behind the island. As long as he can see me, he can put proper shells into me and get citadels. But if he can't directly see me, he's going to have a little bit more of an issue. So what I do is I reverse behind the island here, putting myself in a much harder position, for his shells not to reach me. He can still reach me, but it's going to be harder for him to target my citadel because he can't see me. I don't want to reverse too much because the Yamato is going to get a nice flat area behind me. Stalingrad pushes in. He can't push too much though. He cannot go into the cap. If he goes into the cap, he's going to show his broadside to a Yamato, and he doesn't want to do that either. This puts us at a perfect stalemate where basically TTT is stuck. They're trying to regain the cap on B. We have the cap on C and A. We've closed the margin significantly. We're actually right towards the win. They need a kill to win. It's no longer a matter of capping. They need a kill to win. Our Zao on the opposite side is staying safe. They cannot push. You really don't want to push a Zao with a Grizzleboy or a Shimakaze, especially how low the Grizzleboy is and how the Shimakaze is fairly low, and he's the one capping. So between all of these factors, we are going to manage to, I'm going to slow down the game a little bit, we are going to manage to pull an amazing last second victory here where we basically get all three caps and we manage to snatch the victory away from TTT. So overall, a really nice game that shows how much sometimes just speeding things up is going to end up losing the game for you. You have to trust that you're going to be able to do things. Sometimes it doesn't work, sometimes it does. A late push can do a lot, but if you manage to claim one side, if you manage to do just enough, you manage to clear out a position, then eventually things are going to work in your advantage. What happened was that on the opposite side, the Wooster that died early on for TTT was trying to focus too much on the kills instead of his HP. He went into a smoke, forgetting the fact that maybe a Zao and a Yang are limited with their radar, but they do have it, and sitting in a smoke is going to attract a lot of torpedoes. And between a Zao and a Yang, you're going to get a lot of torpedoes. He did end up trying to get out. I believe I heard it later on, but he took too many torps and he did end up dying. By the time they tried to get back into B, because they moved their Stalingrad, again, in a rush to get kills, They tried to get kills, and the Stalingrad moved out of the position, got our Zhao, but completely left open an entire cap for our Zhao and Yu Yang that they would otherwise very unlikely be able to get, which ended up losing them the game. And that is exactly the Holy Trinity. Always, always keep your HP first, then go for kills, then go for caps. The Stalingrad and the Worcester on TTT side, when it came down to the B position, forgot those three. They went for the kills first, and they forgot to keep their HP. They forgot to stay in their positions and try and maintain each other, and that's why they're losing. They lost this game. Also very, very close, very, very close on our side, because our Zhao took a few too many risks and end up dying unnecessarily in the middle, but between RNG and just pure sensible what to do and what not to do, we ended up winning the game, which is something that happens quite often in the really, really high tier games when the clans are very well balanced and is a very, very good match for each other. This is what you see. So thank you for viewing. Hope you liked it. If you did like it, please put a thumbs up. If you didn't like it, put a thumbs up and tell me why you didn't like it. And I hope this helps somebody out there and do slightly better in the future seasons of Clan Wars. If you want to see me on Twitch, my name is Let's Play Potatoes without the E in potatoes. And if you want to ask any questions, you can either email me or you can come on my Twitch, see it, ask, see whatever you want. And hopefully I will see you guys next time.